Well, first of all, I'm so pumped to have Vlad on this interview with me today. This guy has had a huge influence in my business career throughout Seattle. Just a little bit about the background of Vlad. He's been featured in the 30 under 30 for Business 425. He has a $500,000 SEO company. And on top of that, I mean, he's a leader in the community. And another thing that I think that's really impressive about him is he's had the current CTO and CEO of Microsoft come speak at his event all within 1 year. So, uh,
Yeah,
and
so we actually had the ex-CTO of Microsoft come in, Nathan Myhrvold, who's worth like $1 billion. And then we had the president, the CEO's on my list, but we had the president, Brad Smith, come through, and those guys, man, they crush it. And obviously they're like the people you dream about when you want to, for business success. But yeah.
So and thank you for clarifying that on your part. And the funny thing about all this, he's under 30. He's still under 30. He's doing all these big things. So, first of all, welcome. Um, I'll start out by just asking you tell us a little bit about your story and kind of how you got to where you're at right now.
Sure. Always happy to, talk to you, Alex. I mean, you probably don't know, but you've had an impact just as big, or if not more of an impact on me because of some of the people you've introduced me to as well. So yeah. So you wanted me to tell you more about me and kind of my background?
Yeah, how did you get to the point of starting Logic Inbound, which
Oh
is
yeah.
one of the I think the most dynamic SEO company here in the Northwest?
I really appreciate that. I tend to agree, but I'm a little bit biased here. Yeah. So this is my third company. So my first one was Apps with my cousin Hike, who I think is also going to be speaking at your event. My second one was a CRM, and basically the first one was really luck. I barged into my cousin's room one day, and I'm like, "Look, there's no Bruce Lee quotes on the Android App Store." And in middle school, he built his middle school's website and hosted it. And basically, he was like, "Oh, well, I can build it." I'm like, "I know you can. That's why I'm talking to you." And so we built the app. In 2 weeks. We got 1,000 downloads. And it was 08, and I looked at the Android App Store, and I was like, "Man, this is gonna be the future. Everybody's gonna be on it." It's not even a prediction at this point. Like, it's just obvious. And then there's the naysayers. So basically, my cousin was like, "Okay, we built the app, got the downloads. Now what do we do?" I'm like, "Man, we have the code source. All we got to do is just switch out the text and images, and let's just do quote applications." So we do 30 of those, 300,000 downloads, and 30,000 monthly active users. And I'm thinking Zuckerberg, Schmuckerberg, like, I'm 19, 20 at this point. I'm like, business is so easy, like it's nothing. And what I end up learning is that businesses actually have to make you money. So we go from a business to consumer company. I'm making excuses. I'm like, "Oh, it's because it's a business to consumer company. That's why we're not successful. Let me start a B2B." So I start a business to business real estate software company because a friend of mine, her name is Sasha. She used to work here at Keller Williams Bellevue. Keller Williams is huge in real estate, right? And you had some, website questions or whatever. We were the nerds. So she asked a couple questions, and I said, "I can help you." And then basically next door, I had this idea. Dan Wingard, who's a good connection of mine in business for many years, he was complaining about this company he was using to attract real estate agents. And I was going in to sell leads. So I went into his office. Just luckily, I knocked on his door, and I looked in, nobody was in here. So in there, I was like, "Is anybody in there?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Cool. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Vlad." I was like 21 at this time. And I was like, "We do marketing and leads." He was like, "Do you do recruiting?" And at that moment I was like, "Yeah." So that's, I was basically, I wasn't fully honest. However, at the same time, I wasn't dishonest either. I told him, "Yeah, we can get into that. That's something on our radar." Especially now since he said it, he's like, "We have 0 clients." So I did Craigslist ads. I built like a HTML page. My cousin at this point was like, "Vlad, you're full of crap. You'll never be successful," or whatever, right? Like he didn't say that, but he was like, "Look, like you got to prove yourself to me now because I wasted my valuable and technical skills building your stupid apps, and they only made $1,000 to $2,000 a month." So I built everything, and then I took my cousin into Dan's office and we got a $1,500 check for our first client for monthly recruiting CRM services. So we built that software company. We got that into 13 brokerages in 3 different states. And I was cold calling and I was sweating. I was so tired. And I was like, man, I got to get more business. And I was like, you know what? We keep trying to get more business and we're struggling. And we don't have that Facebook story of being a unicorn, which I want to build one day still. And I was like, let me learn marketing. So that was 5.5 years ago. I was 24 by the time I was done with all my different shenanigans and projects on the side. Our first 2 years we were pumped, but then we kind of like started slowing down. We weren't passionate about it. And then I said, let me start a marketing agency. And we did that. We started a marketing agency. Our first year we did everything. Our second year, a year and a half in, this guy named Tyler Bennett from Seattle WebWorks, shout out from him. He now, I think, started Digital Drivers. He said, you guys have software skills. You guys do other marketing services. Let's merge. So we actually ended up merging with Tyler. And then after we ended up merging with him, we actually, said, okay, SEO is actually useful. So we still went ahead and we ended up getting more clients slowly but surely. And then we ended up getting about 20 different clients. So that's us today. I decided, you know what, we niched down to SEO and we actually got leads that way. So let me niche down further. And so we're looking at the healthcare field. And then we have a super targeted website, which helps for conversions. However, we're white labeled by many agencies and we work with tons of different clients. But yeah, that's a quick intro.
Oh man, I love it. Which that actually creates a segue. So, you and your partner / cousin Hike has had this incredible journey of, over 15 years of being able to crack the code in different parts of digital marketing. And it brought you to the point where now you guys are entrenched in the SEO world. What was once you guys figured out and started to go down this path of SEO, what was that first 6 months to a year like trying to figure out how to, make things work in the SEO world?
Yeah. And that's a great question. I would say we started our apps in 2008. So that's and that's 2020, right? That's 12 years. And the biggest thing I would say, I wish I did this first and foremost, is finding the support network, finding the right partners. I really believe that you are your network. So here's the challenge, right? Everybody wants to have Bill Gates as their partner. Everybody wants to have, and obviously he's not in business anymore, but whatever, right? Everybody wants to have HubSpot as their referral partner. However, they're at level, 100 and you're at level 1. So you've got to slowly transition up the partner food chain to getting bigger and bigger partners and also helping your existing partners grow. So the first 6 months, I didn't know jack, right? I was completely running around. And once it hit me that this is all about community and this is really about empowering the community and they come first and helping first, I kind of always wanted that to do that intuitively. But at the same time, I really started learning after, a year and a half in, and then I really started getting the right vendor relationships, et cetera, to the point where last week, one of our vendors gave us 3 referrals, right? Gold, right? So they wanted to white label us for a project, et cetera. So now it's we've got these relationships and we're building even better ones and we have a process for building them. So having the process for building relationships and keeping those metrics, that's something I wish I would have done in my first 6 months. That's why I recommend people join groups like Business Networkers Internationals, BNI, et cetera. The only challenge is a lot of business owners, even in the BNI groups, they don't keep their metrics and they don't, keep track of their growth and also their definition of growth, right? When you say, oh, he's less than 30 guys and he's da-da-da. Well, you have to understand, I'm comparing myself to people that, one of the people in my circle, one of the mastermind groups I'm a part of, this guy is 24, 25. He's got a Lambo. He's working on getting a mansion, right? So it's your possibility in the network you associate yourself with is so high because I'm already, if you make 6 figures, then you're already in the top 10% of earners in the US, right? So it's where's your mindset at? And that goes back to getting the right network set up early on.
I love that. And I think in that answer, you answered a couple things that I didn't even think about. how important it is, no matter what business you're in, to have a system for building partnerships.
Yep.
I think that in itself is incredible. And right now, that kind of segues me to the one of the next questions that you just kind of inspired me to ask is, with the environment we're in right now with COVID-19 and how it's impacting businesses, how do you, what are some of the ways you try to stay consistent with that idea and that methodology, just, in the
Easy.
chaos?
It's an easy question for me to answer because I have another podcast I do, and I ask every guest this question. So I'm just warning you, I had like 15 different people, but now I've set the bar up high for me. So I don't know how I'm going to do. But basically, the first thing you should recognize in every challenging time is it comes with an opportunity, right? So the first thing you got to look at is what was impacted by COVID and why when it comes to your business. For us, we were impacted, all our clients who left us, we got about 30% of our clients decrease, right? Luckily, we didn't have to get rid of anybody. And we got hit because our process in terms of, client acquisition, et cetera, lead acquisition, it wasn't set well enough. So then now we tackle that and we're actually bouncing back fairly quickly. Even working with you, Alex, as you know, like we've got some strategies together that we worked on. So look at where COVID impacted you and why, right? The other thing is the clients that left us, right? We looked at why did these clients leave us? Like, what's the weakness? Some of them just weren't a fit. And then, so that's the first thing, right? The next thing is the things you've always wanted to do as a business owner and your excuse, right? Because COVID has removed your excuses. I'm too busy. Now you can do those things, right? Do you have a sales strategy? Do you have your business values written out, your mission statement, right? Do you talk to every one of your team members and see what their life is like and make sure that they're okay and show them that you care about them, which I think every business owner should, right? Like those are the things COVID gives you the opportunity to do. You want to write a book, COVID gives you the opportunity to do that, right? Blogging, being more tech savvy, teaching yourself things that you always wanted to learn, like, oh, how do Facebook ads work? How, what are the basics of SEO, whatever, right? COVID gives you that opportunity since you're stuck at home now. So, you should hustle. And then while everyone's watching Tiger King, you can get ahead.
I love that, which it leads me. So I've definitely been, I feel like you were telling the story of my life right now. I've been looking at all the pieces of our business that we can modify. And that's why I've been doing the videos as well. Which brings me to the SEO component. You are at the top of your game in terms of the SEO world and being able to help companies figure out the strategy and the framework to help them rank, high in the, in a lot of companies right now, they're trying to figure out the online world. Where should a person start in regards to, first of all, is SEO for everyone? And if so, what should they start doing first?
Great question. And I would say we're one of the few companies that actually drink their own punch, or Kool-Aid, because so we tracked all our leads. Number one was referrals, and I feel still today nothing beats a referral, a genuine, trusted relationship referring you business. But SEO is actually number two in terms of growth for our agency, and I'm happy to say that. And so is it for everybody? I would say the fastest way to find out if it's for you is, can you right now, or, by doing a quick Google search in a couple minutes, can you find a company like you or a competitor that is ranking online and actually getting business online for pay-per-click, Google ads, right? Can you name any? Can you see any when you do a quick search? If you can't, if you don't know who your competitors are, obviously you got to do more research. But if you can't, then it's probably going to be much harder, right? If you see very few people in your niche, then most likely what you've got to do is you've got to build up authority in terms of like your own brand and personality, maybe talk about your favorite sports team, et cetera, and build up an audience that way, right? And maybe start your own podcast, et cetera. But you got to build the industry. But it's the juiciest for people who have traffic already. And, the people who are already have competitors, maybe I would say 2 to 5 competitors ranking, and maybe there's some space there on that first page. So that's how you can tell if it's for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, there's kind of a process you go through to see if SEO is a fit for you. And if people ain't searching for it, then that's a good sign for you that it may not be something you want to involve yourself in right now. With that being said, if it is for a company, what do you think are everybody? I guess the thing is everybody's about this instant gratification. We want things right now. Can I get SEO ranking at the top of the search engines in a month or 2 months? What do you think is a healthy timeline expectation to get any results?
That is a fantastic question, Alex, because I actually just wrote up a post recently. Is how long does SEO take? And first of all, obviously, it takes forever if you search for key terms you think your clients are using to find you, and you can't find, any competitors or any businesses ranking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, good luck, right? But let's say you're, a dentist, right? You type in Seattle dentist and you find some competitors or whatever companies that are like you. You're like, okay, there are people searching for me. It makes sense. Then the next question becomes, how do you actually see the timeline, right? And the amount of work you got to do to actually rank. So it comes down to 3 factors, right? It comes down to how good is the content on your website? Do you have a page for every service that you do? And like, not just like, oh, here's 2 sentences on a page. There's maybe 1,000 words is a good start. Do you have other credible websites linking to you, right? Like, did Forbes do a piece on you, or did any big companies in your niche actually link to you, or does nobody really know you online and link back to you because you're not really a resource? And then number 3 is the technical aspect. Do you have a fast website? Is it built right? Is it easy for people to click and find things you want them to find versus, things that you put up front on the homepage? So those are the factors you use. And in my article, I talk about how, the political answer is the Republicans or the Democrats' fault, that it's slow. But basically, the short answer is it takes most websites 9 to 12 months. It could take as little as 2 months. It could take as long as 2 years, right? It depends. There's obviously some things like budget, and with budget also, how much work are you going to put in, right?
Yep.
An easy thing I can basically compare it to is networking. Everybody knows referrals and networking is works, but are you going to go to all the events? Are you going to keep track of everybody? How many events are you going to go to? Right. So that's why it's hard for me to answer that with an exact figure, because it's custom. Everyone's custom. People ask me, what are your packages? And I tell them, you're not a McDonald's franchise. You're not a one size fits all, right? Every business is unique. Some people don't even need SEO. There have been tech startups that approached us and they had the newest whatever flying car. Nobody's searching for those nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So they got to build their own category and go through different channels online. Maybe Facebook ads, maybe Google ads, right? Because people don't know they need to be searching for flying cars.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, thank you for sharing all the insightful content and ideas and strategies and secrets. And I know you got to go off to your next meeting, but I'll leave it with one more question. If there was one piece of, you shared some incredible advice today. If there was one piece of advice that you would tell any business in this time and age with the COVID-19 to do in regards to SEO, or not to do in SEO, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, great question. So my one piece of advice in today's age would be, whether you're doing SEO, marketing, whatever, you have to remember that relationships matter the most, right? So building the relationships, treating people right, looking to build value for others, that always comes first and foremost. So if you go into every meeting and think about, how can I provide the most value? And then how can I actually create more value than the last meeting? That's how you're going to win with real value. And that's what's going to cause people to actually refer you business and give you more business. In terms of SEO tips, just go talk to agency vendors and then just say, hey, look, I just want to know information. And the ones that'll give you information, educate you for free, those are the ones you want to work with anyways, because they're the ones that have abundance mentalities. Like, I have office hours, right? So you can always do research there, and it's it's a marathon with any online marketing.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Vlad, for sitting down with me in this interview. And I'm looking forward to having you at the Digital Shift Summit.
Thank you so much, Alex. Have a great day.
Yep.